Hello again and welcome to Beyond the Comfort Zone with James English. I am alone today, but it is wonderful to see you nonetheless. It has been a while since I've sat in this chair to record. So much has happened since the last time we connected. I hope you've been enjoying the series on legacy. Got a lot of really good feedback on that, especially the third episode where Garrett and I really wrapped up. And so if you haven't checked that out, please do go and check it out. I thought that was one series that really came together well and touched on some topics that I know are near and dear to many of you. So listen, today I'm not going to be here long. I wanted to just stop by and jump into something that I get asked very often. So very often I'm asked, hey, what books are you reading? Or what books have made the biggest impact on your life? And so that's obviously a very difficult question to answer because a book really has to meet the moment and also really connect with who that person is, how they learn, how they, the experiences they've had, just the way they see the world. Certain books just have a way of connecting deeper. And so, very often I'll say, hey, let's talk a little bit more, share a little bit more about what you're thinking and then, and the problems you're having. And then, hey, I think this book might be a good recommendation. But then as I thought about it, I said, hey, you know what, James, there are a few books that you've read that have really, really, really made an impact. And so why not share those books with the audience so that they can kind of tease through and see what best connects with them? This is a community where we share. And so I just wanted to take a moment today to share that with you. And so very quickly, I'm going to go through my 5 books. I'm going to tell you why they resonated with me. Some are going to be very obvious by the title, but I'm going to tell you why they resonated with me. And then I encourage you, if you do not have these books in your library, I would say they're safe ads. Okay. Safe ads, things that I know no matter where you are on the spectrum will add some type of value. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. So the first book I read years ago, I actually went to a conference where the author of this book spoke. And the author's name is Liz Wiseman. And at the time I heard her speak, I did not realize she wrote this book. But I later, after, the book was gifted to me and then I jumped into it and I read it and man, it changed the way I saw leadership. It changed the way I approached engaging with my teams. It changed the way I assessed how I showed up. And it was a truly transformational book. In multiple scenarios since that time, I have used this book as a groundbreaker as I start with a new company. So if I start with a new company and I'm being introduced to a new team, I will use this book as a great way to get the team talking and speaking on the same, speaking the same language, speaking with some of the same reference points. It's a very, very, very powerful book for that. The book is Multipliers. Put it up there. Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. Fantastic book. It has a few additions right now or a few new kind of versions that have come out. But at the end of the day, this book really teaches how you as a leader can figure out, first of all, who you are and what you are as a leader. And are you a leader that naturally brings more out of your team, meaning you're multiplying? So it's not 1 + 1 = 2, but it could potentially be 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how well or how you're managing the team and getting them to work together. Incredibly powerful. But it also talks about the fact that you could be a diminisher, meaning it could be 1 + 1 = -5, right? Or -0.5. Does your style diminish the team? Are you holding people back? And are there parts of your personality that potentially are doing both? Are there parts of your personality that are helping people and multiplying? And are there other parts of your personality that are diminishing? Incredibly powerful book. I don't think any leader, no matter where you are on your journey, would waste time reading this book. Foundationally brilliant, easy to read. I love the way Liz really brings her experiences to the forefront and does it in a way that is incredibly engaging. All right. So Multipliers by Liz Wiseman, definitely a must grab. So the second book, I don't remember where I got it, but it was given to me. And at a point in my career where I was going through some pivots, and I've been fortunate to have a very kind of continuous career through my corporate years. And I was getting to places and getting into positions where I really had to develop my, not only my leadership skills, but my just awareness of everything going on around me as I was kind of climbing the corporate ladder. And so when this book fell into my lap, I was definitely attracted by the title of this book because, it's one of those that is pretty clear when you hear the title. But then when I read it, it really was a moment or a book that creates a lot of self-reflection and asks you the question, what's your strategy to go further? Because as the book will tell you, what got you here won't get you there. And this book is by Marshall Goldsmith. And again, a fantastic book that really gets you to evaluate what you've done well, and how those things have helped propel you to this point, but then has a healthy dose of, hey, the rules are constantly changing. As you strive for more, what's going to be required of you is going to change. And so you have to continue to develop and harness your skills in order to be ready for the next challenge or for the next wave. And it does it in a really good way. Again, another very easy read. And talks about creating the new habits that are going to be required for you to excel the way you want to. Very practical book. And by the way, I'm laying these books out in the order in which I would read them if I were, coming into the space now. So there is a method to the madness. It isn't a random thing. I'm trying to introduce these in a way that I think if you wanted to read these 5 books, this is the order that I would read them. So what got you here won't get you there by Marshall Goldsmith. Fantastic book. All right. This next one was given to me at a leadership conference that I went to at a company that I worked for, and everybody got one. The author actually came and spoke and shared stories of his time in the military. There are a lot of really good leadership books from military generals, high-ranking military officials that may have retired and are now really reflecting on everything that they've done and the lessons they've learned and how that applies to the battlefield and to real life scenarios brings an authenticity to a lot of what they say. Some of these other books that I've referenced before are a lot of like boardroom type, experiences, CEOs, chief human resource officers, people like that who are talking about how they've been able to manage a career and how you should consider managing career. But then you get into these books that were brought to life through military experiences. And very often that they are connected to real life military campaigns, some of which and well, because we watch them kind of from the outside in. And to hear the stories of how these generals really brought leadership to the battlefield and how leadership under fire, when quick decisions are required and all these things are effectively life and death, it really does give a check on how much your beliefs now drive your actions, right? And so this book did a really good job of it. It was a tougher book to read because I remember at the time I got this, I was experiencing some challenge. And at that point in my career, I wasn't in a place where I could accept some of the challenges or accept some of the things I couldn't control and own them, meaning I may not necessarily have the answer or know why this came about, but I have to own the fact that it's here. And this book really was an unfiltered examination of what ownership really means. And so the book is called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And this book really, the full title is Extreme Ownership: How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win. And it very much is about that. Again, it talks about some military campaigns from some more recent, I say recent, 20, 30 years ago, but more recent military campaigns, and how the, kind of the command and control structure lays ownership. No matter what happens on the battlefield, it all comes back to planning, and the ownership of what happens really falls on a few people. And so everybody has a part to play, but even the people that are not on the battlefield, the people who have to prepare themselves mentally, physically, to walk into those strategy rooms and to, make sure they're giving the best advice to the political leaders in order to justify military action. And then when they do that and they get the green light, having to go and deliver on that. And it truly is life and death. Sending soldiers out into these places, these foreign lands, to deliver on these objectives is an incredibly difficult thing. And if it doesn't get you to check up and reflect on, man, I may not be in a life or death situation, but how am I preparing? How am I preparing myself for the battles I face every day? How am I looking at all the possibilities of the things that may go wrong? And how am I making sure that I'm informed? And I may not be able to ultimately avoid challenge or difficulty, but I should be prepared to navigate and deal with it in a way that's constructive and that I learn from and that I improve on, and that everybody else around me, whether I'm leading myself or I'm leading a team of thousands, that I represent the culture that helps drive that forward. And that's incredibly powerful. Again, a really, really good book. I like kind of military movies and big World War II buff as well. And so this book really connected with me in a way that, as somebody that didn't serve in the military, I very much appreciated how intense, that's one word for it, it's an intense book, but for how intense the planning and preparation is that goes into what these gentlemen have done. Fantastic book. Now, these last two books are much more personal. So and I've spoken about this before in earlier podcasts, I got into a situation where I was getting closer to the end of my corporate career, and I genuinely wasn't happy. And there was a lot of things happening around me on the job and other places. And I needed some answers, man. I was having some physical problems and definitely mental and emotional problems as well. And I was really looking for some answers. So I prayed and fussed and struggled. And ultimately, I was led to this author. The last two books are by the same author. I don't think for those of you that have watched our podcast, you're going to be surprised by the names, but by the name. But these books have made a tremendous impact on my life. The next book I'm gonna touch on was truly one of the biggest splashes of cold water I've ever gotten. Meaning, the title is catchy and it's like, okay, all right, it's going to tell me about myself a little bit. But when you start reading and understanding the level that this book goes to show you who you are. When I read this book, it was very much like I was sitting in front of a mirror and observing myself. And that is scary stuff. It's scary stuff. But it's a fantastic book. And it took me a while to fully come to terms with how far reaching the words on those pages would be. And to this day, I still remember and reflect on concepts in this book as I watch and observe how I show up in different circumstances that I'm engaged in. So the title of this book is Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. So get that in focus. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Ryan's a great modern Stoic philosopher who really takes on what is a very challenging topic and writes in a way that is very easy to absorb. I believe that's good and bad because it can be it's so well written and so kind of easy to consume that the deeper lessons of it may pass you. So some of these books you may have to read two or three times. It's a great book. It's a tough book. And so this is one I would say by the time you've gotten to these series of books, especially after Extreme Ownership, you're ready to look at yourself and you're ready to evaluate how your ego has impacted and influenced the decisions that you make and how you approach life. Because very often we are more impacted by ego than we would ever think. And again, I don't want to give it away, but there's some very difficult analogies and difficult questions asked in this book that will get you to really pause and say, man, even in my doing good, is my ego at the center? And again, it's a great read. It will transform your life. And so, or at least it will open your eyes. I won't say transform your life, but it will definitely open your eyes to what you could be when your ego is put in the right place. By the way, not all ego is bad, but again, I'll let the book do the talking. And finally, this book is Ryan's latest, and I'm almost done with it, but it's going to be there. I already know it's going to be there. So I figured I would put it in. This is part of his Stoic Virtues series. So he wrote a couple of books. This is I believe the last one. Fantastic book. It's called Wisdom Takes Work by Ryan Holiday. Wisdom Takes Work. It goes without saying that everything we've experienced, wisdom hopefully is the byproduct or is a byproduct of some of the challenges that we face. And this book really talks about how wisdom can be manifest from the experiences we have, but it's very much a choice. They're very smart people. And the book talks about a few people in history, very modern history, actually, that are brilliant. They are brilliant and they've accomplished so much. But when you step back and you look at the way they live their life, the way their life has manifested and how it impacts people around them, it really sheds a very interesting light on them. And it may move them from people you admire to people you begin to empathize with, because it's very clear that money, power, success, titles, all of that stuff is not the evidence of wisdom. Wisdom is known and is evidenced by something else. And so we have to we have to kind of evaluate how we chase, how we learn, how we implement, the things in life that matter. But again, this book also creates some very clear mirror moments where you find yourself saying, hey, what am I really like holding up as my true north? What am I really, kind of shooting towards or aiming towards? And is that something that's really going to give me the level of experiences I need in order to generate this byproduct of wisdom that's so incredibly important? Again, you can do a lot of great things. You can achieve so much in your life, and you may miss many of the lessons. And so you have to, in some cases, relive them. Wisdom is the constant reflective posture where we are evaluating everything we're experiencing, and we are finding where those experiences need to help improve or inform parts of our life that we need to make better. And so Wisdom Takes Work by Ryan Holiday is book 5. So again, book 1, Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. Book 2, What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. Book 3, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Book 4, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And book 5, Wisdom Takes Work by Ryan Holiday. In that order. Folks, I hope that, this kind of brief session was helpful to you. I'm a reader, and I encourage all of us to spend some time in your personal development agenda, reading. Find something that connects with you and lean into the lessons and words of others, because it really can help you put things in perspective in a way that very few things can. I know some people aren't physical readers. I'm a physical reader. Clearly, you see behind me, physical reader. Some of you are, book on tape or, digital readers. However you can consume it and retain it. However you can consume it where it has the most impact on your life. That is what I would encourage you to do. And so listen, I will try to put links to all these books in the description of the video so that you can just click and go pick one up. They're all available on Amazon or wherever you get books. And so, thank you. I enjoyed this little quick series. I don't think it was quick. It probably went on a little longer than I thought. But I enjoyed sharing a little bit more about how I have developed over the time. My development is still very much underway. But I am fortunate to have had moments in my life where the right words impacted me at the right times. And I encourage you to look for that same experience. So on behalf of Beyond the Comfort Zone and the Growth Mindset Network, I wish you a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.